What's going on, everybody? We have a brand new meta for Spellslingers going on right now. So we're going to take a look at the top decks at the moment. We're also going to take a look at a crazy interaction that is kind of broken at the moment. So let's get into it. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Roxora, and here we do all things magic and magic Spellslingers. Today we are just going over this website, which has a accumulation of some of the top lists in the format at the moment. I'm not exactly sure if this is the full list. I don't know exactly where they're getting this data, but we're going to talk about it, kind of come to some conclusions. And we're also going to talk about one of the interactions going on in a few of these lists. I believe Jace and Teferi are the ones that are definitely using this, we'll call it feature. Then we'll kind of discuss it. So first of all, so a really big standout for me right from the get-go is zero. There are currently 0 lists from Chandra, Gideon, and Liliana here. So here's where the decks would be if they existed. There are currently no top decks. That kind of makes sense for Chandra and Gideon, actually. Not a lot of interesting things going on in those lists, and they kind of just are fairly one-dimensional. They kind of want to be attacking, and as we'll kind of see here, the decks that we're going to showcase have a lot of ways to deal with aggressive decks and to just kind of become more powerful than them. The Liliana surprises me because I would have expected Liliana, because of how I kind of perceive Liliana's power level, especially with the Goliath and just the relentless creatures being really powerful and working really well with her ability. I would have thought, but I guess the answer is no. And maybe the nerf to Liliana's Goliath was enough. That might be another good takeaway. But there are a couple lists here from a variety of different planeswalkers, as you can see, which is really nice. There are quite a few Drizzt lists, which is nice. There's still a couple raw lists, but yeah, we're gonna take a look at these. If I want to look closely, I might bring it up in Spellslingers itself. Just copy the deck code here. But if we can, I'm just gonna look at these because I think this is fairly straightforward. Yeah. Really interesting list using the School of the Wizard. So good to see some of the new cards being used. And then this is essentially just a blue-white control deck using all of the kind of disruption and card advantage spells. Like to see Icy Manipulator. I'm glad that I'm glad to see that I, through playing the game, have determined, like, yeah, that's a pretty good card in Jace. And good to see it here as well, right? So that kind of lets me know that I'm on the right track. I'm still trying to figure things out. I'm sure other people are still messing around with things. And then the white cards here are Day of Judgment, Second Sun's Dawn, and Healer's Kit. We'll talk about Healer's Kit when we talk about the feature, because that is part of it. And then topping it out with Arcanus, which is a pretty good end game ender. Same thing with Second Sun's Dawn and Frost Titan. Also like seeing Wizard's Spellbook. That is pretty interesting. That's the artifact that draws 2. So again, working really well with Jace's ability. And both of these Jaces are using Tolarian Academy. Very interesting that both of these decks are, again, it seems like artifacts are pretty powerful. None of them are using Tinker, unfortunately. I would have loved to see some Tinkers. That would be pretty spicy, but none of that. Nissa is really interesting because also, by the way, there's 2, I guess this is the same person, so they're just like using 2 different lists. So maybe they just have the same list. They're just playing at the top ranks with both of these lists. I don't know how that works, but anyways. I was very interested to see that there's Nissa being played. So there's we can look at this if we want, but there's another list here as well. It's another. There are 2 really different Nissa lists, but I've never really thought of Nissa as fairly competitive, but that might be because it's not at the low level. A lot of these guys have a lot of the mythic and legendary cards. So here we have 2 copies of Panharmonicon to kind of double up on some really interesting things like Tarmogoyf. We've got Briarhorn, Tristani, Kothaped, Crush of Worms, right? So like a lot of really powerful plays using Panharmonicon, and then generally just like playing good cards, right, and playing big stuff. Brawling Behemoth, Primeval Titan, Ebon Death, just going really big with the ramp. And then here's a really interesting deck. So I did want to cover this deck because this is a Nissa control deck. Really, really interesting. Just kind of playing early drops, ramping up. Using Jiraga Druid to draw a lot of cards in your deck as you're ramping. You have Day of Judgment and Lava Wave to clear the board and kind of keep yourself alive. And at the very top, we have Strahd, which is the 10 mana 10/10 with flying that when it debuts sets each player's health to 10. And you'll notice there is a hasten in this list, which is the give a creature haste. So really taking advantage of Nissa's multicolored ability, which I find super, super interesting. So again, this is why, like, at the early levels or at the early part of the game, when you're just building your collection, Nissa doesn't seem that great because you don't have really good cards. Here we get to play the best colors for whatever we need in these slots. So right, Strahd, Game Ender, we've got Day of Judgment and Lava Wave as finishers, and then we've got Hasten to kind of help Strahd win the game. Another interesting thing from this list is Scoreboard, and I believe, oh no, it's not this one, but there was another list that I saw that I think that was using Refreshment Stand, but maybe I'm wrong. But here, this list is using Scoreboard, which is the artifact with 2 charges that causes each player to draw a card. And I was initially confused. I don't particularly view that as a strong card. Again, in this sense, it seems like the color restrictions, needing to run Lava Wave and Day of Judgment, and otherwise you'd maybe run a blue card for some card draw. Scoreboard seems to be the only option at the moment. Maybe green will get some card draw at some point, but besides Jiraga Druid, I mean. But very, very interesting list, very spicy. Cool deck, you can. I swear there was a Refreshment Stand deck, but maybe I'm wrong. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, I swear I saw one, but oh, here it is. Yeah, oh, it's an Ashiok. Okay, that makes sense. Interesting to see Refreshment in Ashiok at the top level. Again, I don't view Refreshment Stand as top tier, but maybe it's good enough. This person is playing Jolt of Inspiration. Okay. Playing Isochronons and everything. Cool, interesting. And they're also playing Master Possibilities. This is a really interesting list. I might yoink that. And this list, I think, is mostly the same. They have Scour the Void, they have Mistraven, Ray of Enfeeblement, new card. It's the -3/-1. That's interesting. There are still some raw lists. Let's see if they are running. They are still running Chaos Lightning. They're still running Breaching Serpent. Are they still running... It looks like no. It looks like they're not running... Oh, some are running Aether Figment still. This one isn't, right? This one does not have Aether Figment in it anymore. It still has Isochron Scepter. Ooh, Pick Teams too. Pick Teams is an interesting one. Why would they run that if they don't have... And this deck is running Score. This list confuses me. But these lists are pretty cool. Prodigal Student is a super annoying card to me still. Running one Opportunity, which is interesting. But cool. There are some Nahiriya lists. I'm not sure what any of these cards do. There's a Zozu and Inferno. Those cards are pretty good legendaries, by the way. There's a Vraska. Cool. There's Kaya. I mean, these lists seem pretty self-explanatory. The Kaya list actually looks fairly budget, which is pretty interesting, right? We have Devoted Steed and Venom. Really no legendaries that I'm seeing or anything like that. Nothing too crazy. So this might be a pretty good budget deck for people. There's a Domri list that looks pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. And here I'll talk about this a little bit because I do want to talk about Driz, because I've been playing him a lot all ladder, and he seems pretty good. A lot of different ways to build. Oh, is this guy running Briarhorn? Interesting. Okay, so I had Briarhorn in my list, some of my early lists as well, and I decided against it. But good to see that we have Matron, Pier, and Yenog in here. Those are really powerful cards. And this list is not playing the Hero's Call, right? It's playing some other things. Okana was another card I had in my list. A good, decent legendary, just a 3-mana 4/4 with some upside. Yeah, but some people are still split on Hero's Call. There's a couple lists playing it. There's like so far these 4 lists are all playing it. This list isn't playing it. So like that's as I thought, right? That was a card that I was like, okay, I'm not sure about that. It seems like everyone is still running Defend with Twinkle. Again, my chat knows that like I like and disagrees with me on its effectiveness. Is this list running it? This list isn't running it. Boom, success. I'm proven right. No, I'm just kidding. I still am on the fence about that card, but it does seem like there's a lot of people that are playing it and using it to good effect. So sure. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. Here's like a more using some armor and defensive stuff, so shields up for your legendaries. And you have Lavinia, which can get can get armor. Some people running Colonian Tusker in addition to Watchwolf, or just Watchwolf, I believe. Or is everyone running Tusker? It looks like everyone's running Tusker. I did not initially. I had it and then I took it out. Yeah, see, this one isn't running it. It's just running Watchwolf. It's running some other 2-drop. It's running Tarmogoyf and Devoted Seed. So like the 2-drops and like the kind of non-legendary cards are kind of whatever, right? Really, it's things like Stoneforge Mystic, Defend with Twinkle, the Giant Growth, Grudge Match. Those kinds of things are the types of cards being used to kind of make Drizzt to work. Right, you see a lot of people running Giant Growth, Grudge Match, and Stoneforge, right? Some people running Birds. Not everyone's running Birds, but that's another kind of interesting card. So you can kind of see, there's a lot of different ways to make Drizzt work, and to build it. But I think is everyone using Matron? Everyone's using Matron. So the point is you can see the cards that are core because literally every list is running them, right? So like Matron. I think every list is running Pure. Every list is running Pure. Every list is running. Is every list running Yanog? No, this list isn't running out. Why is this not running Yanog? Neither is this. Okay, so maybe Yanog isn't core. Other than that, I'm not even really sure what is core. Everyone's running Watchwolf, right? Watchwolf. So yeah, like I wouldn't consider that core. I feel like that's a pretty flexible slot. It just comes down to personal preference. But I think Watchwolf it's definitely proven itself to be a good card. The 3/4 body I think is better than the 4/3 body in terms of Tusker. But anyways, so here are a bunch of lists for Drizzt. Drizzt is pretty good. Just beats down. There are a little bit of disagreements here with the land. Some people are using the Deep Forest Arena for the ward ability, and then other people are using the Yawning Portal to kind of get that RNG legendary into their hand randomly. Personally, I like Yawning Portal because I like how this card works with when it triggers. It doesn't make it so it doesn't keep you down on mana the next turn. It just makes you basically spend one mana to use the effect, and then next turn you still gain the mana gems, right? So I prefer that, but could go both ways. There's some Vivian lists. I'm not really familiar with how Vivian is being built at the moment. Looks like there's some Stoneforge, there's Drana, just generally good creatures. Slate Claw is pretty interesting. Is this list running that? No. These look like two very distinct lists. I think both of them are running a Stoneforge though. This is only running one Stoneforge. This is running two. But I would probably guess Stoneforge is pretty good in this list because again, you want to be augmenting your creatures, so that kind of makes sense. Notably, there is one Ingrath list. People kind of making fun of Ingrath during one of my streams. Ball Lightning, very interesting. Yanog, yeah, Yanog definitely seems to be a powerful card. There's a Kiora list, kind of behaving very similar to Jace or Nissa, just trying to ramp up and then abuse Panharmonicon with Crush of Worms. Can also abuse it with Master of Possibilities, so pretty interesting. Using Stern Artificer with Isochron Scepter and Mystic Tome and the Shrine, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty spicy. I like that. I like seeing that. I also like seeing Channeler of Might. That's probably a good craft. There's a lot of green decks that are probably going to be using it. And a Johnny list using Pier, and we're also abusing Healer's Kit. Okay. What is the artifact? Staff plus something else, I imagine. Oh, the weapons rack. Okay. All right. So yeah, those are the list. And now that we've seen all of these Healer's Kit abusers, we'll kind of talk about this combo. Let's get into Spellslingers here. All right, so here I wanted to showcase the interactions that's going on here. So here we have Healer's Kit, which has the ability activate, heal anything 1. Now the keyword here is anything. Typically cards that heal, heal 3, heal anything. So this could not be used to, let's say, heal your opponent's creature or heal your opponent's. Here, if we have an artifact that has depleted, so here we have a Mystic Tome, which typically can have 3 counters. And if we activate targeting our own artifact, it gives it another counter, another charge, I guess it is called, and we can use it again just fine. And this works perfectly in the game. This does not break the game. This does not do anything crazy. So, yeah, this is just an interaction that, I don't know, seemed to slip by some people because they basically decreed that, like, this was not as intended. This was not supposed to happen. Yeah, and so essentially, this is bugged. At the moment, I call this a feature, not a bug, because again, nothing is breaking the game. It's just, it's working differently from how the developers originally intended. Supposedly, there is some statements that they are going to fix this. They're going to make it so that it doesn't do that anymore. But for the moment, this is why people are running Healer's Kit, so they can just, and you can do this again, right? So like, you just get to, do this over and over and over and over and over. So that is why people are using Healer's Kits. If you see that, that's what you got. I wouldn't recommend running any artifact hate or anything like that to counteract this. I would just kind of try and fight past it, do what you can. But that's what's going on. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this. I certainly feel for the developers, right? Like things like this do happen. Something similar happened when they had the ranks reset. They were only supposed to decrease the ranks by 1. It decreased by 3. Again, the game's only been public for so long. You can't really expect everything to go perfectly. And I will say, if this is the thing that doesn't go perfectly, great. I would rather have this than game-breaking bugs, or cards completely out of balance, not getting payments for buying packs or something like that. There's so much worse things that could go on. A card working slightly differently from how it should be for a little bit, in the grand scheme of things, is not a big deal. But yeah, for now, that is how you can use that card. If I'm not going to fault you if you do. I'm not going to fault you if you decide not to be an abuser of this. Choice is yours. If you are going to use it, do it now before they fix it. But yeah, that is this interaction. That is why those decks are, I'm sorry, I don't want to say that's why they're performing well, but that's why they're able to kind of add value. They can use this to heal. They can use this to charge up their artifacts and get some more value. The Jace deck playing Tolarian Academy can just do this for 0 mana, right? Because already this costs 0, so this doesn't even cost them any mana. It just costs them 1 card to get. So yeah, that's probably a little strong in my opinion. Some people in my chat, suggested just removing this down to 3 counters or something like that. and keeping it as is. I don't want to do that if it's not intended, right? If they did not intend for the card to work this way, they should change it to how it should work. So that's where I'm at in this. Again, I just wanted to let everyone know about this. Not trying to encourage people to use it, not trying to tell people not to, just stating facts. And also wanted to take a look at some interesting decks. I got a whole bunch of new things that I want to try with Driz, with Jace. I really am glad that Jace works. Jace was like a character that I started playing at the low level, didn't really work out too well, and it looks like it's pretty competitive, so that's exciting. So anyways, that's gonna do it for me. I hope you guys enjoy taking a look at some of the top lists and seeing this degeneracy in terms of this feature. If you guys did enjoy, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Would really help me out. Also, make sure to join me for my Twitch streams. I do every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Spellslingers all the time. We're playing a whole variety of different decks. I got people telling me I'm making bad plays, people telling me I'm making good plays. It's a hoot. It's a hoot and a half. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. I'll see you for the next video.